Welcome to USL Live and to the Week 4 preview show. I'm your host, Romulocks, and this is a show where we revisit the results from the previous week, discuss the upcoming matches, and try and predict the winners and how that will impact the rest of the season. Joining me to discuss all that and more, I'm honored to welcome into my broadcast booth the co host for tonight, Jordan, aka Mecca,
Howdy, y'all.
and Josh, aka Yosh.
Hey,
For more information on Unified Skirmish League, including schedule, rosters, or how you can be a part of this league, we ask that you please visit uslzone.com. All right, first up, let's talk about those Week 3 games. First up, over 9,000 defeated True Combat Overlords. The score in the end there was 70-29, and the MVP was Demon. Mecca, take it away.
I didn't see all of this game, so I can only comment a little bit. It just looks like kind of your routine slaughter. Bottom always wins on map. It seems like most of the time, at least. TKO had a pretty good lineup in, but again, you have Septicemia playing Ripper and just like going 4-9. You don't let Ryan be LMG, which he's been used to doing for the past 3 seasons. Just some interesting personnel calls. You have BB and Pandy and Spec. I know you want to spread out playtime, but what I would have done is put everybody good in one game and everybody shit in the other game and not do like a mix. Because like imagine if BB and Pandy come in for Raekwon and Ryan B. That lineup all of a sudden becomes pretty good against over 9,000. So it was just an interesting way of how to balance the roster there. Other than that, just kind of your routine. I don't think anybody got surprised by this. Eric going 12-4, TG going 10-4, Triz 8-1 in half the game. So pretty routine, I think.
Yosh?
yeah, I mean, they kind of did what we thought they were going to do. They didn't really surprise us. They did really, really, like Mecca was saying, really, really weird rostered things. Like, I don't understand the thinking behind that. You gotta, and that might be that dude's inexperience playing with some of these players, but you gotta put, like, they have a legitimate roster if he puts the right people in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my suggestion to him. He needs to figure out what the roster is and really get that under control. And Septicemia needs to stop playing these troll ass classes. I hear quote unquote he's doing it for fun, but you're not doing anybody any favors but hurting your own team.
It's not fun for everybody else, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you noticed him being absent on a lot of the plays. He just wasn't involved because he had to be so stationary all the time. But I think it was kind of a step back for TKO. I think they had an opportunity to make this a really competitive. At least, I mean, I'm not saying they were going to ever win, but like at least make it a graceful loss. And it was not. It was not necessarily graceful.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what else there is more to say. I think Mecca kind of said it all there. There wasn't really a great standout player for TKO either in the loss. Although I will say Typhoon went 6-7, and that's almost a miracle in and of itself because everybody else was far more negative than that, including Ernie. But moving on, let's go to Hungry Beavers versus True Combat Overlords. The score in this game was an interesting and notable 77-9, and the MVP was SK, aka Jake. There. Let's start it off. Mecca, talk to us about what happened in this game, and I think you have an interesting statistic about it as well.
I do actually did a little bit of research last night. This is the first team USL squad has been held to single digits since week 5 of season 16. Also, that was 88 USL games ago. So that's just kind of a crazy statistic. If you look through all the seasons, it happens about 3 times every 100 games.
Huh.
So it's just a pretty crazy, especially with that lineup to see them only get 9. I mean, I think we just completely, utterly dominated them. We knew exactly where they were going to be at every time. Again, their lineup was better, I think, in versus us than they were versus over 9,000. So I'm surprised that the scores weren't flipped. Like I thought with the lineups, you would think that over 9,000 would win 7-9, and then we would win 79-20, whatever the hell it was. Because they had Manu, BB, Pandy, Typhoon, Ernie, Ghost Bomber, DP, that dude in tracks. I know Typhoon only played like half of it, but you just would have thought they would have performed better. Just I don't know if they just gave up after the
You wonder if the
first game or
momentum
what happened.
factored in
Yeah.
there. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think the first game just kind of demoralized them, and then you switch up who leads every week is normally Septicemia. Throw Manu in there, who's usually a pretty good leader, but if he doesn't really do it a lot, and there's been so many squad changes, he doesn't know exactly how everybody's gonna play. I just think kind of everything did not go their way, and then you had Beavers with SK and ER coming in playing seamlessly. I mean, SK goes 13-0, ER goes 9-2 in their first games with Beavers. ER's first game in a couple months, so I think kind of everything went against TKO. I don't think they're as bad as the scoreline suggests. Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yosh, you called this game. What were your impressions? We haven't gotten to see that, but what did you come away from this game thinking?
Just a lot of mistakes. I mean, I spent 30 minutes basically talking about what they could do better if they actually cared. So I'll be interested to see what those guys think about that. Um, and how that game, if they implement some of the ideas that I was talking about. Hopefully they do. I think it'll help them out quite a bit if they do, but
Mhm.
only time will tell.
Yeah, I didn't notice like a noticeable difference between the TKO teams between their first and second game. I thought they came out kind of similarly. I did think that Hungry Beavers enveloped them better. This was, even though it may be only TKO, we did see some stuff from Hungry Beavers in that they got angles and they were team shooting really well. I mean, we hadn't seen them play this well. I don't think as a cohesive unit. That's what I mean. I was commenting to the guys after the game for sure about this. I thought everybody played their role and played it very well. And you're exactly right that Jake comes in, not having started a single game, puts up a 13-0. It's fantastic. Good control from him. Mountain plays, his traditional top of the board as well. And then the rest of the guys, just nobody had a bad game. Everybody played smart. We had a sub or two there as well. It was just a good game all around, and a good performance from Hungry Beavers. Something to build on going into a tough next week coming up, which we're going to talk about. Let's go ahead to Zero Tolerance defeats Taking Back Sunday 116-27. The MVP in that game was R, and this is the game that I don't think anybody had this one on their bingo card. And I'm curious, Mecca, what did you think of ZT's performance, and does this signal a change for them?
I think ZT played well. I think they had the better side, which means they were going to win either way. I don't think they were ever going to lose this game. Apparently, there was some alleged trolling going on by Pistor in this match, which I don't know the truth to that or not. But ZT had a pretty good lineup too. You see Split come back. Maybe it did make a difference. Like we all speculated that when Split's in, it's a different team. Um, so you have all that going for you. Backs, as we were talking about in the preview for this week, its leadership is going to matter in this week on Bomb's map. You have to be very reactive. Not a lot of people know it very well, and I think you kind of saw it, in perfect display here with Split just leading circles around Backs. I mean, Backs goes 6-15 um, as your leader. I mean, you have two Marines. Night Sea goes 1-14. Uni goes 1-15 with little to no assist points. You can't win like that, and it's not even necessarily their fault. Bax has to put him in a good position, and he just didn't. And they just started to run it down mid. And 8 versus 8. It's not like tens when we played them when it was you can get cheeky kills and stay alive longer because you have 10. 8 versus 8 skill shows, and they just get outskilled, outclassed.
Yeah. I mean, ZT came out the game hungry. Like, they wanted to prove everybody wrong, but Split's a lot more important to that team than we all thought. So, it's good to see them show some life. And, it's pretty not impressed with the way the other team played, to be honest. I don't think they played very well at all. And hopefully they figure it out going into this week's matches because it's very important.
Uh, I thought, yeah, I agree. TBS absolutely came apart at the seams in this game, and it was very evident. They lost that first battle, just got absolutely, I mean, their teeth smashed in, and from that point on, it was like they were playing a pub. Some points were just silly. I will note particularly that, like, I'm not trying to rip on Octavian or anything, but he died first in almost every single battle in the first 15 minutes. And you have, at a certain point, you've got to take, you've got to take responsibility for your position and the
Mhm.
fact that people are depending on you to get kills, and you got to sit back and let other people start to fight because there's no reason as a demo or whatever else that he needs to be leading the charge and taking those shots right in front, which is what happened over and over again. Um, that was pretty devastating. I again, it was another one of those performances where I didn't think anybody's play stood out as exceptional. Universal Soldier went 1-15. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean that's just brutal, and that's just not what Uni's typically going to do. But I don't know that it was necessarily all Uni's fault. I think what it was a team that was just so out of position the entire time that nobody could get anything really going. Um,
Mhm.
and that's kind of it. It was all of them messing up at the same time that led to they just got swept. And kudos to guys like K, dude. KW played fantastic. King, I thought, had a great game. At one point, they brought Nuno in the game to try to compete with him and bring it into rocks. They thinking that Nuno was going to slow the game up a little bit. And Tyrael switched from whatever he was playing before. I forget, to Nader, and then he started going off as Nader more than he had anything else.
Mhm.
It was there was nothing TBS could do to stop that onslaught. They just were not. They did not come out prepared to play. So, um, and then also, I just want to mention R. I thought really did have a great game as medic. I mean, he was the MVP for that game. He had a fantastic game for ZT. For a team that doesn't know who's going to be their medic, seemingly week to week, I think R has probably got to be one of your answers now. Like even if you don't play Havoc regularly anymore, it was cool to see Fresh come in and play Marine, but he's obviously going to could alternate in that position. But R played a really good medic for that team, and he's definitely going to be consistent. I think there at that position from now on.
I agree with that. By the way, I think we called it last week too that R should probably be the one medding. Um, Definitely a big difference.
Yeah,
With Flash and Fresh out, you get R and Havoc or whoever they end up playing. I think it's
there were
a good spot.
a lot of positions where if the medic had gone down, the battle might have changed, and at least the score could have gotten closer. But R stayed up. R stayed up the whole time. He was 4-4, which is exactly in line with everybody else in the squad in terms of deaths. He died when the team died, and that's it.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all you can ask for, I think. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
let's see here. The last game we have to talk about is Hungry Beavers defeats Taking Back Sunday 97-53. MVP is Spoils. There were some gentlemen's agreements before this game. We took it to tens, I believe, and then there was also an agreement to play a sniper, which at a certain point somebody gave up on.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead, Mecca. What do you think about the game?
Yeah, as far as the gentleman agreement goes, by the way, I mean, it was in place for like 98% of the game. ER switched from sniper, and I was alive, so I didn't have a chance to switch till I died. Um, Either way, I mean, the only reason this game was close because it was tens, and tens is basically pub. It's hard to get a lot of kills because in tens, if you kill the first person, it doesn't really matter because they still have 9 to hold you, right? They can just slither back into the rocks. So I think if this was 8s or 7s, but I wanted to get everybody time. So, but if it was 8s or 7s, I think this would have been a blowout. And I think you saw the same thing with over 9,000 last week on KR going 10s or 11, whatever they went. It's just hard to take advantage of getting those early kills, which is what the good squads are good at. So you can't really take advantage as much when there's just so many people. Again, it's just basically pub. As far as the highlights of the map uh, or the match, SV and Jeff did really well. Spoils came in, 6 and 7, not bad. His like second USL game ever. Meds did great. I think Staley even went positive. Yeah, he did. Just overall a pretty good game from everybody, I think.
Yosh, what do you think?
Uh, I mean, I can't really. I mean, Mecca pretty much said it all. You know, like he really did. Like I don't have too much to add. And in my opinion, these week's games are kind of a little meh. You know, there's just not. There wasn't too many big blowouts all around. They weren't really close.
Yeah,
You know.
I feel very similarly. I do think we learned a lot about zero tolerance. I think that was probably the only game that I would have valued coming out of this week. Honestly, I kind of agree with that. Last week's games were so riveting that it definitely um, put a power on this week's games. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think
Well,
next week's game
yeah,
or this
let's
week's
go.
game's
Let's skip
better.
ahead and talk about week 4. We do have a one big game, that's for sure, and a few others that could be match of the week depending on how you look at it. I want to ask you guys going into that. Let's talk about that. Which of these games is your match of the week? First game is going to be at 10:15 right now. Zero Tolerance versus Over 9,000. Okay, that's at 10:15. Like I said, um, I don't know if we want to do any predictions. Go ahead, and talk about that right now. What do you? How do we think?
Sure. So
Yeah,
go
go
ahead,
ahead, dude.
Mecca. Go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
Go.
I insist.
All right. So over 9,000. I mean,
Two gentlemen here.
like it's hard for me to say how they're going to come out and play. I mean, it is a map they're super familiar with, so they should be able to come out and do a really good showing. That's kind of what I want to see from them is just with Split being back and everything like that. Hopefully they come back and like really give us a game. That's what I want.
I was actually just talking to Mecca about this the other day. How EC in my mind is kind of like the quintessential USL map. I'm not saying it doesn't have flaws. I'm not saying it doesn't have quirks and issues. It's a map that everybody should know very well, and so there's not going to be any late surprises or matlock moments or anything that happen. There's not going to be any real gotchas. It's going to be this is where we think they probably are, and the routine battles we normally see. Does that help Zero Tolerance in your opinion, Yosh, or does that help
Mm.
Over 9,000 more?
I think it helps us more because we're more comfortable with the map, right? Like you're not going to surprise us. You're not going to shock us. We pretty much know what's coming, what you're going to do, and this. I mean, it's a map that we're all very familiar with.
Yeah. What say you, Mecca? You agree or disagree on that point, and give me your thoughts on the game?
I agree mostly. I do think though, with it being EC, again, I think over 9,000 wins, but with it being EC, I think there's a chance that Zero Tolerance has a few really stupid campy snake plays and gets a few battles maybe early, something along those lines, because they do play well in EC. Like they beat, not that over 9,000 deadweight are the same, but FUP beat us on EC last year. We kind of ran it down mid, but that's besides the point. They do know how to play on it. It's not in the open. They can cover bad Marines. So it just EC favors worse squads unless you're super good at being reactive, which Sav and the over 9,000 boys are. So it's kind of hard to predict what the score is going to be. I think it's going to be closer than people think, only because Zero Tolerance will do a lot of rat plays and keep the pace super slow and probably camp their side of the map most of the game.
I'll be curious to see who shows for Over 9,000 too, if anybody is noticeably absent, because I think it's a week where that kind of thing could matter.
Mm.
Yeah, let's. I agree. I think everybody kind of agrees this is an 09K victory here, but Zero Tolerance. I mean, they have a lot to prove after this last week. I mean, this is another one where they can practice for playoffs right now and get prepared. And if they put up a good performance, everybody's head's going to be turning, going, "Okay, there's another player, on the field at this point." Um,
Can I make a prediction about this
yeah,
map?
yeah, go
Just
ahead.
a quick one. Um, if you're on Discord with ZT on this map, Splittable call over 9,000 pussies at least 10 times while camping his side of the map down 12. That's my prediction.
I think you might be a prognosticator. Absolutely, I could see it. I can see it happening. Um, let's go to next up is Over 9,000 versus Hungry Beavers at 11 p.m. So it's back to back good games to watch. I think. Uh, let's talk about this one. Is there anything really different between the ZT and Hungry Beavers outlook just from the start?
Yeah, I mean, I think us versus 9,000 is going to be really competitive, especially on EC. I think this game is going to come down to who shows for each squad. Because there's a lot of, I mean, with both squads actually, there's a lot of like kind of flux in the lineups. Like, does Kaga show? Does Champ show? Does Iso show? Is Eric out of town? Is he in town? Do they, play Shasta? Is Nos going to show? there's just so much flux in the lineups. It's hard to predict right away. But I think it's going to be a very close game. Sav is a really good leader on EC, but Fossil's no slouch on EC as well. So I think it's going to just come down to who shows the better lineup here. So I'm going to say Beavers win just because I think we're going to show a good lineup, but not shocked if 9,000 wins here either.
You think it'd be a pretty close one, even if Beavers
I
ekes
think
it out?
so.
Okay.
I think it's going to be very close to the end. I think it's going to come down to last battle or two. The final score might be 10-11 either way, but I think it's going to come down to the last battle, and the team's going to have to push to try to win. And if they don't, I think it's going to be up to 10.
Yosh?
So I mean, I think we're pretty heavily favored in this game. There's not a single like the pickup of Raver was pretty huge for Hungry Beavers. I thought that was really good. How unrusted is he going to be? That's going to be important for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he shows a good showing, then we could have a lot of trouble. But if you have to play like, and I'm not gonna. I like Jake, but if you have to play him or Mercy or somebody like that versus us, y'all don't have a shot in hell of winning. Like, you just don't. We're gonna take apart those guys and pick them apart. If you show your top lineup, it'll be a super fun match. Hopefully, EC is kind of an even map too. You can't really complain about sides or anything like that. So should be a good fun match.
I want both squads to show their top lineups, and
we're probably not going to show top lineup for playoffs. You know that.
Yeah, we probably won't either. Honestly,
like Chris and Nas probably won't. Chris and Nas probably won't show to this game. So
yeah, this is not the same Hungry Beavers roster that played 09K in week 1. It just isn't. There's been a lot of turnover, and they're just playing different right now than they were before. In terms of tempo, a lot of things are different. I think Mecca said it exactly. If it depends on a few specific people. I think ESO is a big part of that question mark. I think Kaga is a huge part of that question mark. If Kaga is there, I also agree. I would agree over 9,000 is favored just straight up, particularly if Jake and if Jake Baza spoils and me sitting there on the sideline and one of us has to play. I agree, or even two of us have to play. God, I definitely agree. It's over 9,000's battle probably at that point for sure. But if the roster shows, I am going to call it right now with Mecca. I do think the upset happens this week. I think it's probably like 41-37. I think it's a tight game. And I do think I've seen Raver back. I think he is very solid right now. Mountain's in the best performance. He's on fire right now. And as long as Mecca, Colossal, Fausto play the games that we know they're capable of, like you think you're strong, and I agree. It's going to be Clash of the Titans is what it's going to be, and I honestly think that Beavers are going to squeak it out. I'm really excited to see the game. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, see, the thing is, y'all haven't proven you could beat us yet. You haven't proven it. Like, that's just what it is. I don't think until you prove to us that you could beat us straight up, which you haven't done, which no one has done yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the stiffest competition we've had so far has been, I want to say season 1, when everybody just came back, the Kevin squad. Except leadership is better. I think Fossil's a lot better leader than Kevin is. So that could be really interesting. But as far as, like, I just want to see it happen. Until you prove to us that you can beat us.
It's all talk.
Like,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's all talk until it happens. It's just there is a growing momentum in the league. Somebody needs to topple Sav, and I think this is one of the best shots that anyone has had, and that's I'm trying to be as unbiased as I possibly can here. I know I'm on one team, but I really do think this is probably the best shot I've seen in the seasons I've seen. Let's go to the last game. Let's see here. It's True Kombat. Oh, it's currently unscheduled, which is interesting. But True Kombat Overlords against Taking Back Sunday. It is the rematch of a game that was pretty fantastic in week 1. With Taking Back Sunday squeaking out the victory at the last second, TKO pushing in a way that they never should have. and ended up losing people and losing the game as a result. I don't know that happens again. There's been a lot of shakeups, and TKO looks significantly stronger than they did. And after last week, I think TBS kind of looks significantly worse than they did, even in week one. What say you, Mecca?
Yeah, I mean, I think TKO takes this. I think Bax is going to miss the playoffs again. 3 out of the last 4 seasons. I just don't think TBS is very good. I think you really will see Big Bird, Ernie, Typhoon, Pandy, all those guys. I think they probably all play this week. And even if Septicemia plays Ripper, it's fine on this map, or Nader, it's fine on EC. So I don't think you get differenced there. And I just think that they're a better team overall. And I think they have better leadership in EC. And I don't see how Taking Back Sunday wins this game. And I think with this loss, I'm pretty sure TKO pretty much locks up the 4th seed. And I don't think TBS has a chance because I mean TKO already beat ZT, and they lost to TBS. So TBS only win will probably be TKO week 1. Because I don't see them beating ZT or either 9K or Beavers. So I think this knocks Backs out of the playoffs, and I think you see a huge game from Ernie AT on this map.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna think. I want to call it for Bax. I really do, but he is so outgunned in Marines. Like you put these rosters on paper, and like, man, it's a world of difference from the lineup that we saw originally from that dude squad to what they have now. It is night and day difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bax has
even
got a lot
losing
of
Torch.
yeah, even like Torch didn't matter on this team anymore. You got Pandy, you got all the rest of those guys now. Like this is a dangerous team that could really do some work. I think if Bax plays smart, he has a chance of winning this game. But he's got to lead the best game of his life, not get tilted, not let Octavian lead. Apparently, Octavian led last week, I guess, for some reason.
No.
Yeah, like I don't understand what that's about. Yeah, like Bax has to lead his ass off and
No, I agree. That's part of Bax's strategy. If he's leading, he puts himself in the positions we've been talking about all season. He puts himself in the positions to do the maximum offensive damage. Everybody else just needs to figure it out with him. They need to get themselves in the best position to help him they can and let him use the chaos and go off.
That's not good leading.
It isn't, but when compared to what Octavian did last week, I think it probably is better if Octavian led because that was pretty abysmal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Bax started to lead when they went down, 24-0. I think it was still Bax, and then he switched eventually.
Maybe. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I wasn't there. You're right.
From what the chat was going on, it seems like Bax started, and I mean they literally went down 24-0. So Bax puts himself in position to get kills. It reminds me of Septicemia a lot, and everybody else just is kind of on their own to get kills. And you're not going to win a lot of games like that. You're not going to beat people like BB, Pandy, Ernie, Typhoon like that.
Yeah.
If Manu shows and leads, I just think it's a foregone conclusion. I just don't see how TBS wins this game at all. They're just completely outclassed.
I will say one interesting note is that Blitzkrieg just signed for TBS. And I know he was in the game the other night shaking off some rust, but you could see when he was shooting that he still knows what he's doing. He's still the aim is still on point. If the strafing isn't perfect. If he SBs a lot this week, Blitz could be maybe not the counter for Ernie, but the counter for Typhoon. Yeah, maybe. Adding a Marine like Typhoon to the TBS roster definitely doesn't hurt their chances. I think so. I think it actually could be kind of a catalyst player coming in there. But
I mean, if this is season 13 SOE, I would agree. But I mean, this Blitz is a shell of himself.
We'll see.
Not that he's bad, but he's not good enough to make up the difference.
Did you watch him in the? He played a couple SBs. I guess 2 weeks.
Yeah,
ago.
he played pretty good, but he's playing with over 9,000 with Sov leading is a lot different than
very
Bax leading on EC.
Very true.
I think Blitz being on this team. Well, that's if Bax even plays him. He's got that whole thing of quote unquote wanting to reward his loyal players or whatever. We're gonna see when the chips are down and you've got a Marine of Blitz's caliber. Hell, Bax might not even know who Blitz is. To be honest,
You may not.
he might have
And
came
then
came
I'm sure
before
he's
his
starting
time.
to go sevens too. So like he wants to get all his players in, but then threatens everybody with sevens. So we'll see.
Yeah. So he may not know who Blitz is, and if he doesn't, I'm gonna give you a quick little lesson. That man was probably
God tier.
the top Marine.
He absolutely was, and I don't mean to like glaze all over
Only
while
one
we're
of them.
here, but he absolutely was in the top 5 Marines in SL for
Well,
5 to 6 seasons straight.
I think the bigger impact is he was also a top 5 leader. So if
Yes.
he does shout outs or if he talks at all, that's where it's going to come from, not necessarily his Marine play in general.
Mhm.
And he's played EC before too. You know, he's played a bunch on EC, so he knows the map as well.
Absolutely. If
Yeah,
he can unfade quick, man, talk about a game changer that could be. The odds of that, I think, are low, like you guys were saying, but it's possible.
I
So,
mean, if he comes out and he puts up some kills and just use this season as a warm up, he could go be a contributing player on a good squad next season. You
I
know,
like that advertisement.
Yeah.
Over 9,000. All right. So, guys, just I want to summarize that with which is your game of the week of those games?
Oh, Bax, it's got to be the bad blood.
Yeah.
It's there.
You think
Because
back?
that matters too, right? Like us beating 9,000 beating us probably doesn't matter as far as standings go, because I think we'll beat ZT again, and but TBS TKO could literally knock TBS out of the playoffs.
Well,
Oh yeah.
I'll take I'm probably going to name it based on this, the game of the week, then. But I'll take the contrarian view and just say I don't think it matters anyway. I think the end result for the playoffs is going to be coming down to Hungry Beavers and over 9,000 anyway. So, that's why I think this is a preview of what's going to come for a championship match. That's why I'd probably name my game of the week. But I think we will go with TPS TKO because that is what the panel has spoken. And I agree with you. It does matter a lot to them for this week for sure. Let's see here. Going to UFL if we can briefly. We want to cover real quick in week 3, most purchased. We had CC with 27 teams, Chica with 19 teams, Aerith with 19 teams, Spoils with 15 teams, and the Mountain with 14 teams. Clearly a pattern of Hungry Beavers players there. Although CC, people thinking he was still going to put big numbers on the board for over 9,000. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Not a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, fantasy is who's going to do well in that given week. This week is going to be good for fantasy. There's a lot of interesting picks that people could really pull ahead with right now.
For sure. Speaking of
Yeah,
which,
I mean, you saw last week a lot of people picked Beavers because we had 2 games and they were both relatively easy games, and whoever picked the most Beavers ended up, scoring the best in the week. So
speaking of
Yeah.
I think
those
that
big
people will be different.
gains, Demon with his team Arise had 442 points. Toranaga, our very own Mecca here, with his team Lady Knight had 427, just behind Demon. And then, as he says, I guess Havoc is sort of there too, but there's kind of a drop off from there. Havoc, which is his team is You Are Terrible, is 393 points. Aerith has Stavadine is my hero, 363 points, and Spoils with Law School with 354 points. Big points for that week. Big points. A few crazy high scoring games will get that for you, especially with back to back high scoring games.
Oh yeah.
Let's go to week 4. Let's get your preview picks for who are you gonna add for week 4?
Oof.
Yeah, this is a tough one this week. I think I'm gonna end up adding. Hold on, I wrote it down somewhere. Let me see. What did I end up adding? Oh, over 9,000 players just because they play twice. Yes, they play a tough game versus us, and the other games versus ZT, probably 2 and 3 in the league. But just having 2 games in general is good because Beavers aren't going to be the top pick because we only play 1 in against it's over 9,000, and TKO and TBS, who the fuck knows, and ZT's playing over 9,000, so I think over 9,000 is going to be the picks. You're going to see CC pick fucking 50 times probably. He's going to break records by how many he picked because for some reason he's only 70. You might see a little Yosh action there, only 80 maybe. And then a lot of fillers behind that, but and then there'd probably be Iron, Sav, Triz, Eric,
Yeah.
kind of fill in with the over 9,000 people.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give you one from not my squad. I'm gonna say the player to pick up this time is going to be Octavian. I think
Interesting.
if Taking Back Sunday has any chance of winning, Octavian absolutely has to pop off, and I think he's in a decent position to be able to do so. Right now, he's got 30 kills for his team. Bax has got 34. You know, um, he's right there. So that's going to be my sleeper pick, I think, maybe.
Well, I will give you my picks, which would be I think it'd be silly to have TKO coming in to play against TBS and not pick up Ernie. I know he's 100 points, I think, but Ernie, I would expect him to go off in this game. I think that is a safe bet to say he's going to post some numbers. I also think Pandy, for the same reason, would not be the worst bet. I'm not sure I'd pick up both of them. That'd be kind of a calculus, but I think I agree. Over 9,000 is definitely where you want to put the majority of your points. Um, and I would definitely pick up those meds. I clearly think that CC is definitely, this is another week for him, and if you can afford it, might as well go ahead and get iron with him. So that'd probably be mine.
Just watch your roster and watch over 9,000 drop iron at the last second. Be wary.
Let's go to another segment. We have a conversation this week about awards. We are at the halfway point of the season, going into week 4 here. Just 3 more weeks left, and at this point, we are at the midpoint, wanting to know where do we stack up in terms of who's looking like they're heading towards winning an award this season. And to update us on all of that, we have our very own statistician, stat keeper himself, Mecca. Go ahead, brother.
Indeed, yeah. We'll start out with deadliest. Halfway through the season, you can kind of start seeing the picture being painted. We only do against playoff squads, but this season is kind of interesting to see who's going to make playoffs between TKO and TBS. So I threw both of their stats in there, and the top players don't have great stats against TBS yet because both top teams went tens, so the stats are a little weird. But right now for deadliest, it's looking like a 3-person race between SV, Jeff, and Sov. Eric is
Whoa.
kind of right there too, but Eric going 4-7 as sniper versus TBS kind of fucked him. So we'll see if he can recuperate that later on. But so he's kind of on the outside looking in. Sov, I think, is looking really good right now. He's 47-13. With a pretty solid Mecca rating, but you have SV and Jeff 45-14, 41-14. This weekend will definitely determine a lot as far as placement goes in the rankings of deadliest player. With the two top squads playing each other, and then over 9,000 playing ZT as well. So that'll be interesting. And then as far as support award goes, not a lot of action yet. Danny and Dave are doing really well on ZT compared to their team. Who do I have on here? Eric has a really good assist point ratio this season. TG surprisingly low. Maybe he's only a support player when he's playing with us. Maybe he's more of a killer with Sav. I don't know how that's going to work out. And then Jeff again. Jeff has a lot of assist points. Jeff's looking like Ernie last season, and just high up there in assists and high up there in kill points. So I think you probably see some sort of pick out of those players for deadliest and then assist points as well. But definitely don't sleep on Danny and Dave for the assist points. Danny kind of fucked himself leaving the game versus us for his assist points because they could be higher. I don't know how he did in that game, so I guess I can't say that. But definitely look out for those guys too to kind of creep up with 4 more games to go.
That'd be pretty impressive of Colossal if he won both the assist leader and the kill leader. If he was able to pull that out, that'd be kind of like a triple crown. We'd have to have like a name for that. That's an amazing thing to do in one season.
Yeah,
Um,
Eric almost had it last season. He fucked himself in the last game of the season, but Eric almost was deadliest and most support points, most assist point ratio last season, but the last week kind of screwed him up.
that is a mark of a super impressive play, super impressive season. Um, what about medics? Did we talk about medics?
I haven't talked about medics yet. I haven't done too much research on medics because there's not a lot of great metrics for medics.
Mm-hmm.
You really only have assist points and healings, which is like fine, but it doesn't really tell the whole picture as Marines do. I mean, yeah, you can include in kills and everything like that, Obviously you have Iron up there. Um, got almost 13,000 healing. But you have CC up there too. He's got one more game, but I mean CC's got 17,000 healing right now.
Yeah.
So he's up there too. He's got a positive ratio. He's 15-7. You got Iron 13-7. A few other notables. Fax at 12-18. Chica having a really good season.
Ooh.
Shout out to Chica having a really good season. I mean, she's got 14,000 assist points on on a not very good squad, so that's impressive by
That is
itself.
super impressive.
Um,
I mean,
and rookie of the year for Medic, maybe 3K playing his whole season. He's playing a really good season as well. And then you have everybody else. Staley's having a good season. Manu's having a pretty good season. But those are the highlights.
yeah, I mean, best individual performances. I think CC clearly has to take this. But you're right. Chica has really performed well, kept her squad in it in situations where you didn't think they were going to be there. Really solid season for Chica. Congratulations to her, too. Looking forward to seeing who wins that one as well later. Um, well, anything else you want to add to that awards, or are we moving on?
Yeah,
No, we
just a
can.
couple
Oh,
things
sorry,
for
go
the
ahead.
awards. I think that Jeff is having a phenomenal season.
Mhm.
Playing demo, playing Marine, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever he's playing. The big thing for awards for this season for me though is going to come down to the two matches of Hungry Beavers versus Over 9,000.
Agreed.
If you want to win an award, I think you have to be better than what they showed week 1. Right?
Mhm.
If not, I think Solve probably sweeps a lot of things. You
Yeah, Saab
gotta,
only went 9-4 though the first week.
yeah, but Jeff went 2-5.
True, but you have
Mecca,
Eric.
or yeah,
I was thinking
you
maybe more Eric
four
on
and
that
eight,
side because Eric goes
Mountain
13 and 2.
3-5.
Yeah, Eric goes
You know,
13-3 in that two in that game too. So Eric has a good case there too.
yeah, 100%. Like that's the ones that need to be weighted the heaviest because that's
Mhm.
that's going to be the best competition of the season.
Yep.
You know, that's just what it is. I like seeing Chica. She's doing well. I'm glad to see
Mhm.
that. I'm gonna go controversial. I don't think 3K is a very good medic. I played with
Mhm.
him a little bit, and I think he shoots too much. I think actually he would probably be a way better Marine than a med.
He's a good Marine too. Yeah.
Way better, actually. Just the way he plays, because he's always out of position. Whenever you see games, he's out of position for where he should be as a med, but in right position to be as a Marine. I think that's pretty important. Maybe Bax doesn't have anyone else to fill that medic spot. I don't know. But I think 3K would be a lot better as a Marine. He
I,
would put up good numbers
I do think you have negative
as a Marine.
zero sitting there, and negative zero is a pretty solid person to turn to for medic in my experience.
Yeah,
Particularly if
but
you're
Nick
looking
wants
at
the Marine.
3K. Yeah, maybe he
Yeah, I think he
doesn't.
wants the Marine as the
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Um. Looking at ZT, I think it'd be interesting if Ketis started getting some play over there
Oh yeah.
because he still can make a huge dent as a medic for that team. Um, anyway, well, let's move on. I've only got a couple of announcements. First of all, the roster lock went into effect. We're recording this on Monday. The roster lock went into effect tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's April the 8th. So if you didn't move already, it's over for you. Sorry, you're stuck.
No.
Here's looking at ESO. So anyway, there's I think we're still talking to maybe a discussion about going up to 15s, trying to add any remaining stragglers that are just now getting in. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but that discussion is ongoing.
It's not gonna happen.
Okay.
Bax voted no because he doesn't want people to play in the league. So
Okay.
Hmm.
Fair.
he's
Um,
basically the only person who voted no. But so it's gonna stay 14.
Well, I would also like to support free infantry on Steam. Apparently, the date, thanks to DP, is April the 15th, from what I'm hearing.
Ooh.
So we are just about a week, almost exactly a week away right now from a release on Steam. Tell people you're gaming with. I've showed it to as many people as I can, and I've got some committals for at least trying it, even with the age of the game. I know some people aren't going to be interested; they just can't look at old games, apparently. But there's a lot of people that enjoy nostalgic games out there, and if you could attract one or two people, that would be totally worth it. And we do need to encourage people to get on earlier hours, 5, 6, 7 o'clock if you can, just to be logged in and talk to people if they join. I don't think we're going to have anybody in the daytime hours for the most part, but Thankfully, they're adding zones with bots, which is a really good idea for that. Anyway,
Cool.
Any final comments from Mecca, Yosh? Anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, I
We
got a
need
couple.
to. Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Go. Yosh, go ahead.
Okay, so first off, we need more referees. That's a big thing. If you want to ref, I know I got a couple people that reached out to me. And when Eric gets back, I'll go ahead and follow up with him and see if I can't get you guys a ref spot. With him stepping down, some people are going to need to step up. Also, we need commentators. If you want to speak, come back. Who has
Tell
the
me about
stones?
it.
Who has the stones to come and tangle with Romulocks and Mecca?
If Ice, if
Um,
you're not going to play this season, brother, hop in the booth
Yeah.
with me, son.
Retire to the booth. Yeah. Come on,
Yeah.
Ice.
Also, anybody else that just wants to chat about the game, like you don't have to be right. I'll tell you right now, I am not right a lot of times. It's more about just what do you observe? Let's chat it out. What could people improve? That's fun with Yosh and Eric, or in Mecca's case, just calling out and just looking at it post hoc and saying, hey, if they had done this, they probably would have this would have resulted in a better, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. There's no right, there's no wrong way. Just come out and do it. Send me a message, send it on uslzone.com or on Discord, either one, and I will happily work you into the rotation where possible. Yeah, I think that's all. That'll do it for the Week 4 preview show. Again, freeinfantry.com if you want to download the game. If you're interested in playing, signing up, getting involved in a league, uslzone.com, or check out our videos on Infantry Online, the YouTube page, to watch games and clips created by our community for our community. I'd like to thank my co-hosts for today's show. That'd be Mecca and Yosh. This has been Romulocks, and you've been listening to the USL Season 22 Week 4 preview show.
Ciao for now.
Now there's no point in placing the blame, and you should know I suffer the same. If I lose you, my heart will be broken.